Okay. By the looks of it, we are live. How's it going, everybody? Rob and Aden here. And it's Sunday. It's a Sunday stream.
Sunday.
Yep, and we are basically chilling and for the most part talking about an anime. Netflix anime. And it's
We've
gonna
talked about the previous series before.
And we're gonna talk about this one now. This is
I'm not gonna knock our conversations about the previous series, but I'm hoping that we are better organized in our thoughts and feelings and whatnot. Because I'm not gonna lie, I feel bad that we ended up, for the most part, just sticking to a wiki, sticking to the Wikipedia synopsis, and I felt bad about that.
Oh, I mean,
you know,
so far, I mean, with this time around, I mean, before we even started, before we even had this planned, and we were talking about watching the show. I mean, it was Aden that told me, dude, take notes.
Please.
Yeah, please take notes. Which I did. I took notes. I even went a step further, got a list of all the characters that mattered, for the most part. And I went ahead and made notes of every single episode. I forgot to put the name or the subtitle for the
I've got them all.
For the 8th episode. Okay.
Devourer of Light.
Devourer of Light. Okay. Which
Devourer of Light.
We'll get to that one in a little bit. But anyways, we haven't even said the name. Castlevania Nocturne. And you guys can also see that. You guys can also see that in the video, or for the podcast. But all in all, I mean,
I am planning on going into a small bit of detail as far as like comparisons between the Netflix series and the game that these characters are derived from.
Oh yeah,
Other than that, I'm saving the majority of that kind of stuff for whenever we get around to talking Castlevania lore in general.
I was gonna say there were certain characters I was gonna ask about because I was kind of curious about them. But
plus, I'm not gonna lie, it wouldn't be entirely fair to just, you know, hate on the series or give criticism on the series based entirely on the comparisons, because these are their own continuity.
Yeah.
You know?
Not get it.
Oh my goodness. What a way. What do you want to start with? Characters, or do you want to talk about them as we come across them?
Well, I guess like the first thing I had on my notes was the characters, which I was going through like the list, which I need to re-pull. Like, give me a second. Something I forgot to do before us starting the stream was getting the IMD up. So
that is one thing I forgot to do, is pull up their get the actors and actresses' names for the characters, and I'm
getting it pulled up now. You guys can probably hear the clicking of my keyboard. Well, not my keyboard, but the in sound, or the computer sound keyboard for my keyboard. IMDb. Okay, so
so who you want to talk about first? The main boy, the Belmont boy, or
so I will say that this is me coming kind of fresh into this because well, I have not played any of the Castlevania songs. Or Castlevania games. Not songs!
Nothing wrong with that.
So...
The games, they can be kind of difficult as far as, like, the first game all the way up to the game that Richter is from. The only one that came after that's anywhere near as hard is the last of the 2D Castlevania games.
So, I think, you know what, if anything, I think, let's talk about character, because a lot of people who are newcomers will probably not know anything about the lore. So, how about we talk about characters as we progress through each episode?
Okay.
I was just thinking about that, because even I don't know, like, the full lore of Castlevania.
Well, like I stated, this is its own the Netflix series is technically its own continuity.
Yeah. So, I guess let's start off with talking about episode 1, which is
a common enemy in evil.
And first note I made for episode 1 was, holy crap, the animation. Like, I will say, like, the quality of animation was probably that of, like, probably improved on from what they did with the last season of Castlevania.
True.
It was
very noticeable how, I guess, muted would be a somewhat appropriate term, but I don't think it's the full-on correct term to use as far as, like, the how, like, things are colored and whatnot.
And
the darkness of it all.
This is kind of
compared to the 4 seasons of the original Netflix Castlevania series, which was more vibrant in a way, at least in the first couple seasons, first 2 or 3 seasons, you know?
Yeah, and this is kind of going into, like, some of the other episodes, but I will say, like, animation-wise, it's very stylized with certain segments.
Yes.
That, of course, being when we talk about, like, episode 3, in certain moments. But, anyways, yeah, animation very good. Very impressed the first episode. And going through the episode,
it starts off with a young Richter, like,
watching
6 to anywhere between 6 and 10 years old.
Watching his mom getting killed by
right in front of him by
Olrox.
Funnily enough, that I'm actually surprised they kept that mistranslated name.
Oh, what's his original name?
Kudos.
Huh?
It's supposed to be Orlok.
Orlok. Okay.
But due to a translation in the PlayStation 1 Symphony of the Night, which Orlok, or Orloks in this case, in the series case, got mistranslated to Olrox. He's based on Count Orlok from Nosferatu.
And I guess, and this is going into speaking of him, because I didn't know what to think of him at first because of how OP he was. And then it later explained that he's been around since the Aztecs.
Yeah, and that's something I don't know how I feel about. Like, it was cool seeing him transform. And seeing that he actually had his transformation as well as a nice throwback to one of the moves he did in whenever you fought him in Symphony of the Night. He could summon those shadow skulls, those dark skulls. He could do that in the first phase of his fight. And his transformation, he's more of a lizard-esque creature in the game.
Okay.
In his second form, instead of basing it on Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl.
Okay.
The Aztec thunder serpent deity.
I mean, either way, it looks really good.
Yeah.
And actually, now that you say that, it explains a little bit of like the final fight, or the fight between, or at least the fight between the mother and him. When she tries, there's a point where she's kind of pinned down, and she's using kind of like creates like an ice barrier between her and him, and he's conducting electricity or lightning, causing the barrier to melt. And at first, I thought he was going to freaking like bite into her in his second form.
Yeah, I did it first.
But
I did it first as well.
But instead, he just flat out freaking like stabs her with his tail.
Funnily enough, I caught the first episode and half of the second. I want to say half of the second. Hold on, let me look through. Okay, I saw the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
I think. Let me double check.
And then.
Okay, no, I watched the first episode and the second half of the second episode through the Netflix drop of 1. Back when that aired.
Okay.
But, anyways.
Speaking of that, after which cool fight with the mom, which she was named Julia Belmont. We get kind of pushed.
Julie, I don't like Julie. She's not mentioned in the family tree, so that was cool.
But she like we go forward in time towards the French Revolution, where
before that they mentioned that the reason they're running isn't just because Olrox is chasing after them, but because Richter could potentially be in enough danger. He's being sent to France to live with his aunt Tara.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't really explained, I don't think. At least as far from what I was watching.
It kind of was due to the fact that Richter was complaining about having to live with his auntie Tara. Or his having to live with his aunt, and I believe Jolie stated something along the lines of Tara is not that bad.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, then we go to the French Revolution.
Well, the reason why I brought that up is because Tara in Rondo of Blood, she was just a nun or the daughter of a priest, depending on which version of Rondo of Blood you're playing.
Okay.
Whether it be Rondo of Blood or the 2.5 remake Dracula Chronicles X.
Okay.
For the PSP. But yeah, the time jump, I don't mind. As far as like jumping straight into the time period of the French Revolution, 1792.
Well, I will say, I kind of understand it. Because
to instantly go into a revolutionary's meeting
with
I don't know how I feel.
With Maria being the revolutionary leader. Oh, Marie.
Yeah,
sorry, Marie.
No, it's Maria. You had it right the first
time. Okay.
Maria Renard.
And you have the vampires, which I will say I kind of appreciate, where they had like all the vampires in like sort of bureaucratic positions.
Yeah, they're aristocrats. Ugh.
And basically screwing everything up for the people. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Because of course that's what the vampires were gonna like. I mean, certain vampires wanted control, and it makes sense that they would be in these sort of levels of power to try to freaking screw things up.
Yeah, and as far as Maria goes, like, I do like the personality trope that she has, but at the same time, it comes across as her just being a mini Sypha. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, which I will say her powers, like when they fight when they first start fighting Richter and her first start fighting the vampires.
Oh yeah,
that was a cool fight.
It was. Would you like to know the names of the familiars as they showed up?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because
or the animal companions, because they do actually have names. Each of them are based on the four guardians in Chinese mythology.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask about that whole familiar power, because
it's always had it. There's no explanation in the games for how she has it.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, especially for this version or this story, I'm not going to go in. I don't want to go into too much about the dad right now, but her mom is Tara, and in this version, she's a speaker.
That was like her Tara being a speaker. It's not too much of a jump considering the fact that they made Sypha a speaker in the original Castlevania series.
Okay.
Whereas she was just a witch in Dracula's Curse, the game that Trevor's story takes place in.
Okay.
So it makes sense. It makes a sort of sense for them to go ahead with that, But let's see. We only see one of her companions during the first fight, correct?
Yeah, the two birds.
The birds, the vermilion birds. Suzaku, or I'm gonna probably butcher this, and I'm sorry. Zuche.
Okay.
And it's a pretty interesting sub-weapon for Maria in the game. Just doing the regular up attack to use the standard sub-weapon. She sends two cardinals or vermilion birds up into the air diagonally, and then they fly back towards her.
Yeah.
To damage the enemies, and if you use an item crash, which was something new to the, somewhat new to the game series, she would summon Suzaku, or whichever name you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it would just pelt the enemies with homing fireballs for a few seconds. Pretty cool. I like how she was able to use more than, like, summon however many she wanted.
I mean, yeah, towards the end, like, holy crap, she's just going all out. Towards the end of the series.
Yeah, and we can get into that later.
Yep.
But like, I'm kind of shocked that we didn't get to see her fourth familiar. Just stating that now.
Because you see
her fourth companion.
You see the bird,
companion. We only get to see three
the tiger, and the turtle.
And the 40. Yeah.
Yeah. Throughout the episodes, but yeah, that was a pretty cool fight.
And I'm not gonna lie. Like, at first I thought it was just standard vampire attack from the aristocracy, because they were trying to fight off to destroy the revolution before it can overthrow them.
Yeah.
But no, it turns out they were followers of a vampire messiah.
Oh yeah, we'll get more into more details with that as we progress.
Which caused them to reluctantly seek out the abbot's help.
Yeah, which
because they needed to infiltrate the chateau.
Can I be perfectly honest with you? When you see the abbot, my immediate thought was bad guy. My immediate thought was...
I mean, he's not as bad as that one abbot, or that one priest in
from
the first one. But...
Oh, I mean, it's more tragic with this guy. But I think... But he's like... I think... I mean, we'll go more into his...
It's a questionable kind of tragic, but...
It's a questionable... He's like misunderstood on what he thinks is like right, what's the right thing to do. And due to the war and the people revolting, his focus is trying to kind of create
keep the church, keep that church intact.
And I think, if anything, give people a symbol of hope.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, they talk to the abbot, and after talking to the abbot, he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll help. We'll look into it." And
yeah,
this gives
not so subtle hints for anyone paying attention, by the way, as far as like any potential dark secrets that he might have.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's...
Especially with that last line he had in the episode, though evil can be more subtle than is often supposed.
Yeah. And then they're walking through town, and you only know him for a second by the name of Jacques. You feel bad for him.
Real quick, it just occurred to me. It just occurred to me.
Yeah.
He might have been the abbot might have been aware that Maria was spearheading a revolutionary force within their town.
Well, yeah.
He might have been, stating that.
I think
we find out later on that he does know about her abilities.
Well, it's like, not just that, but he knew that he knew that she was the rebel leader.
So that line, though evil can be more subtle than is often supposed, I guess there was a lot more meaning behind that than just, a potential dark secret.
Yeah.
That he's holding on to.
And I kind of question,
yeah,
in terms of his, because in this situation of him choosing his path, it's like, I guess he probably thought picking the lesser of two evils. So to speak.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Which, unfortunately, he learns very quickly when the big bad shows up that, no, who you picked was the worst evil out of the two.
Like you were saying a moment ago, getting into Jacques, you only meet him for a little bit.
Oh, even worse when you find out about the night creatures.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to get... Okay, yeah, let's continue. Because, yeah, you have this one guy, Jacques. He's only for a brief moment.
And then he gets on their way back home, Maria tries stalking Richter into going to a bar. She goes home by herself, and he's like, I like your mom's cooking. I like Auntie Tara's cooking. Let's just go home.
And she's like, you're just saying that because you're hungry. He's like, no, I don't want to be rude. And you see again, you only for a brief moment, and he was at the revolutionary meeting. You see Jacques.
He seems stumbled out. Yeah,
he's all drunk.
Part of the reason you feel bad for what ends up happening to him in this moment is during the meeting you could tell he has eyes for Maria. He is smitten.
I don't know.
Big time.
Well, I don't know about smitten, but I think he was more of a follower. But ultimately, with Jacques, I mean, the way he because again, even though he's just, I'm caring for some of the minor characters. That's how good this show turned out to be. Because you have the freaking you have Jacques step outside with his gun. He's had a little bit too much wine. tries walking up some stairs, and you see
Vampirus. I'm wondering if that Vampirus was the Marcus's
the Marquis's wife.
It was her?
Yep, it was the Marquis's wife.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's like standing on the top of the steps, and she
because later on in the episode we see her and the Marquis
basically draining
Marquis,
Jacques.
draining. Yeah. I forgot about that.
But he gets scared when he sees her fangs. She rushes him and bites and starts draining him. And like when they showed like this, when they're at the chateau, she's just dragging him by one arm.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is terrible. And I start to think, how long was she dragging him?
Yes.
Like, holy shit.
Now I'm picturing her running across the water, dragging his body along it, damaging him.
Or just walking the entire way, just dragging him by one arm.
Damn.
Oh, that either way is terrible. And then after he's drained of all of his blood, he's just basically plopped onto a pile of bodies.
Yeah.
We do get to see a little bit of Tara.
Yeah, like, during their conversation and whatnot, you see Richter up in the corner brooding. And it turns out he's not really brooding, he's more having flashbacks to his times, flashbacks to his trauma.
Like having a bad dream.
The death of his mom. Huh?
I was gonna say having a bad dream. Because he looked like he was asleep.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Then night creatures come in. Seeing as, you know, I wasn't sure what to expect with this series, with this new series.
The designs
I wasn't really expecting night creatures.
Oh, I mean, even, and I going until we get to the characters. First, I love the designs for some of them, like the ones that they introduced for the first episode.
Mm-hmm. There weren't any notable ones, like none that came to mind as far as like being based on any creatures or monsters that you have to deal with in the game series.
At least not until
no, not even with him.
Well, I was gonna say, like till the I would say not till the end of like episode 2, going on to like the other episodes.
None of them.
Not even
They're all unique. They're all unique.
Oh, I thought you were saying they were not unique. Okay.
No, all of them are unique in so much that none of them seem to have any counterpart in the games.
Okay. But and I think for the night creature scene for like towards the end of episode 1 was kind of the best way to introduce Annette and Edward. Which
the D, from what I understand, the D is silent at the end of his name.
Edward.
Edouard.
I mean, it almost sounds like Edward.
Yeah, it does.
Like a French version of Edward.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to Annette, like, I like what they did with her. Don't get me wrong.
I think we should wait till talking about backstory and stuff.
Well, no, not talking about the backstory or any of that. I just want to get into like the character she's based on.
Okay.
So, in Rondo of Blood, Annette is just Richter's girlfriend or betrothed, one of the two. She's just to our knowledge, she's just a maiden.
Which, speaking of that,
that Dracula kidnaps.
Since you mentioned that, I did notice, like, they were kind of hinting at a sort of connection or bond that was building between Annette and Richter.
Mm-hmm.
Which I almost found adorable.
That's fair. It was kind of cute.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off the background music. There we go.
All right. But we can go more into the Annette stuff as we learn more about her.
All right.
How they portray her in the series. Like in the Netflix series, she has like, just saying this now. Well, no, I'll hold off. But it turns out that they are that they showed up just in the nick of time because they're looking, in their words, they've traveled across the ocean to find a Belmont and seek his help in stopping the coming vampire messiah.
Which, you know what, thinking about it, and I know this kind of goes into a future episode, I'm kind of wondering if they were looking for the other one.
Unlikely, but you never know.
Well,
considering
again,
the fact that it was relatively known that particular Belmont had lost, had basically, a lot of people.
a lot of people would
consider him to be a coward.
Well, I think a lot of people.
So I doubt they would search for him.
Well, I would have to say that I mean, again, they were looking for a Belmont, and didn't really specify which Belmont they were looking for.
Well, to their knowledge, there was only one.
And and I like the fact that I wish I could talk about it right now because it's in the one of the future later episodes. But it's like it's funny when it comes to like Richter's reaction to finding out, oh my god, I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, even further finding out that, hey, you've been here this whole time.
Yeah. But like Maria, her quip whenever Annette says that we're looking for Belmont.
Oh, you're looking for this ungrateful wanker?
That would be this ungrateful wanker right here. Like, oh my god.
Or like his follow-up where he's like, you wouldn't happen to know anything. Just going straight into it. Like, you wouldn't happen to know anything about it.
You wouldn't happen to know anything about a vampire messiah, would you? Why we're here.
And she's like, yeah. Oh. Yes. That's why we're here.
Well.
Which, by the way, since we've been talking about the night creatures, I mean, with the brief like exposition from Annette, it's kind of made apparent that the night creatures have not been around for a long freaking time.
Mm-hmm. Because the art of Forge mastery has been lost to the wayside. Only demons know how to do Forge mastery now. The last two human Forge masters, to anyone's knowledge, were Isaac and I'm drawing a blank on the Hector.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Like after they passed, the art of Forge Master just kind of died out for a while.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, those two characters are the only Forge Masters in the game.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. Like, yes, this is delving into some of the stuff that gets brought up in later episodes, but I need to say this right now. In terms of Annette, she's also technically a witch. She has ancestral ties to the god Ogun.
Yeah. They did make reference to
which
that a
allows
couple
her
times.
to transform earth and metal. Yeah, but not in the first episode. The episode ends shortly after they show up
I know.
and meet Richter and the others.
I mean,
But like, it allows her to transform earth and metal into anything that she can think of. Like, that's pretty wild. And I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, and I was like, okay, I guess they're giving her a means to be part of the main crew.
Do alchemy?
You know? No, well, that too. But I mean, like, be part of the main crew. You know. And then we see things. We see the episode end with Olrox docking his boat, telling an unknown vampire to us named Vablanc.
Oh, Vablanc. That dickhead.
That to tell the emissary that Olrox is here.
Yeah. Which, going on to episode 2, Horror Beyond Nightmares. While people are getting killed by the guillotine, or executed by the guillotine, we are introduced to Drolta.
Well, and this is also while the abbot is making a sermon about the evils of the revolution.
Yes, which, I'm not gonna lie, like, out of all of the vampire characters, Drolta is probably my favorite.
Drolta Twintus. I'll get into her in just a moment. Here's something of note. It says something that he is that the abbot is so against everything the revolution stands for, and I think a majority of that is because of how a lot of revolutionary forces have torn down churches in other territories. I get a strong feeling that's part of the reason why. But he calls the new he speaks about a new Joan of Arc that will save them from the so-called sinful revolutionaries.
Hey, quick thing.
Unbeknownst to his masses, unbeknownst to his freaking congregation, he's speaking about the vampire messiah.
Yeah. Since we're talking, to travel and tourism, you've been timed out because of spamming. Sorry, but also not sorry.
Please do not spam in our chat.
Thank you.
That's all we ask.
You can comment.
That and be cordial, of course.
Yes. Don't spam.
But, Drolta. It's interesting that they decided to go the route that they did with this series. Because Drolta is only mentioned in the instruction manual for the game that the antagonist, the major foe of this Netflix series is from. And that is Castlevania Bloodlines, or the New Generation if you're over in Europe.
Yeah.
However, Drolta never showed up in the game. In that game. She's only mentioned as being an old crone who works for Elizabeth Bathory. Or in the game, Elizabeth Bathory.
Who is a character that they are introduced to, with by the way, a very tragic freaking backstory for Terra. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, what do you think of how Drolta looks? Her appearance?
Oh, I just said it. She's like, out of like design wise, she's probably my favorite. Even like her her altered form is probably really freaking cool.
We'll get into that altered form when we get to the last 2 episodes. For sure, because there's something I wanted to say about that.
But yeah, I guess to start us off, or at least, I mean, going further, yeah, Terra's backstory, because she finds out that the Messiah is probably Countess
Elizabeth Bathory.
Yep.
Elizabeth Bathory.
And
Russia.
And at first, like, when she hears the name, she's just like, she runs away, like cause she's like terrified that this nightmare is coming back to haunt her.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out from her that she used to be part of a group of speakers, and they were helping people in a village, and apparently people didn't like that and proceeded to go after the people of the village and the speakers, not just with regular people, like normal people, but with vampires. And at one point, her sister, or Tara's sister, is captured by Ezerbet.
Oh. More Drolta, but yeah, technically it is Ezerbet.
And we find out from Tara how brutal Ezerbet can be. To the
You
point,
do know who she's based on, right?
I'm.
Who Ezerbet?
I think I know. I was gonna say there's some historical reference to her. I can't remember what
she's the ruler that was known to that was
Queen Mary. I think it was
told that people would say she bathed in the blood of
yeah, that's what I meant.
Whatnot. Yeah, that's her.
Hold on.
They made her extremely cruel in this series. Funnily enough, in the game she's from, she's actually Dracula's niece.
Okay. So it's actually Elizabeth Bathory.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth Bathory. Yep.
The Countess who bathed in the blood of the youth.
In order to try and because she thought it would help her maintain her youthful figure.
Yeah.
Or keep her skin looking youthful. At least according to, what people would say about her. We don't really know. We're just, Anyways.
Yeah. So, I mean, and going back to that backstory, because, yeah, she talked with Tara, like how Tara describes it, like, Ezerbet is brutal, like, extremely cruel. And there's a point where Tara gets to her sister, but finds out that she's already turned. Or at least turned her into a vampire. And there's a point where Ezerbet's about to catch her, but she escapes.
She basically mercy kills her sister and escapes.
And runs away. And runs to France to, have a new life.
What do you think of Edouard's
song?
Singing to mourn the loss of one of Maria's animal companions, as well as the loss of Tara's sister?
I thought it was a touching moment.
Got a good singing voice. It's just, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the times it felt like it was out of place.
Well, I will say,
but there's a reason for it.
There you go. That's I was gonna say there's a reason for it. Which
there is a reason for it within the plot, and we can get.
I'm gonna say this. He was so out of place for any of this.
Yes, agreed.
And even going further, he was so not in the element to be fighting vampires. I felt so bad for him towards the end of this episode. Because after a mourning the bird, which we didn't talk about this, because one of her bird familiars gets killed. when they're fighting
during the attack by the night creatures
Yeah.
in the previous episode.
They've been kind of waiting on whether or not, like, considering whether or not to go to the chateau by themselves, because the abbot said that he was going to send some spies over there. They decide to just go, go against the abbot and just go there themselves. With
Yeah, too
Rick-
bad. Yeah, we see the Marcus is gathering corpses and whatnot. So whoever the Forge Master is, because it's unknown to everyone at
for a little
this
bit.
point,
Yeah.
who it is, but the Marcus is at least in league with the Forge Master. They aren't sure if he's a vampire, if the Marquis is a vampire yet.
You mean the Marquis?
But unfortunately, Annette sees
LeBlanc. And
LeBlanc.
a lot of emotions.
who ran the plantation she and her mom was at.
Yeah. I mean, again, we'll be going.
Annette was a slave.
Yeah. And her backstory we can get more into in terms of like her connection with LeBlanc in the next episode.
Her rage though, like,
oh
you
yeah,
could see it.
She was like that close to just start freaking like going after him.
Mm-hmm. Too bad Edouard was able to calm her down a little too late.
Yeah.
They got spotted.
Yeah, and then they find out really quick that it's not just a few vampires that are hiding in the chateau. It's like almost the entire location that's overrun by freaking vampires. And by the way, like towards
interesting note, and we can get more into detail on this in the next when we talk about the next episode. But her incantation, bringing up Papa Legba.
Yeah.
Nice attention to detail as far as the ancestral roots they gave her in this series. And it made me wonder at the moment if she followed Haitian voodoo.
Probably.
If I mispronounced the belief, I am so sorry. I always have trouble pronouncing that one correctly.
I could be wrong.
It's not quite voodoo, but it's along the same. It's got similar roots. In a way.
Yeah. Okay.
I could easily be misunderstanding.
Well, as you pointed out too, I mean, she has a spiritual connection with a particular deity. And what's weird is I think they joked about, like, if I remember correctly, they joked about it in the second episode. Where she's like, we all, I mean, every single one of us has some form of roots with a certain deity.
Yeah. During breakfast, after, if memory serves, after Tara consoles Maria over the loss. If memory serves, that's when it happened.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that moment real quick. What do you think of Richter training with his daggers and whip?
Oh, that was pretty cool.
During that conversation.
Well, and they were also, it was pretty cool, and they were also making a comment like, couldn't you do magic? Like, used to when I was a kid. Which
can't anymore.
Which it goes to
see the
I was gonna say, I mean, especially with the connection with the other Belmont that we will be bringing up later. I mean, it's really it kind of really sets up that due to like a certain trauma, like emotionally hit, like whatever like emotional like issues you have or emotional trauma, it will cause you to like kind of,
it puts up a block.
Yeah, it puts up a block, making it difficult for you to even harness your magic. Because I guess after Trevor and I'm like forgetting her name. I'm gonna feel bad.
We can go into that when we get to the episode if you want.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say after. Yeah, we'll get into it, but
Because
okay,
there's
so
a whole basket to, well, not really a whole basket, but there's a lot to.
there's a
talk
lot
about.
to like talk about, but okay, so now.
But seeing the way Edward dies.
Well, no, I was gonna get to that because to the point, like it's so bad, like how like they are so overrun by the vampires, they have to make a retreat because of how many vampires there are. Like you weren't gonna win, and there was a point where I'm like, because they say, "Oh, Tara, you stay. Four's already too much," and I'm just thinking to myself, like after watching this episode, I was thinking, no, maybe Edouard should have stayed behind, and you could have took Tara.
You're not wrong, but at the same time, if Edouard was not there,
oh yeah, true.
things probably would have been so much worse for them.
Yeah, but good lord, yeah.
Annette more than likely would have flown off the handle.
She probably
in
would.
retrospect, she would have flown off the handle, and they would not have been. They probably would have suffered far worse.
Yeah, but yeah, so they make a retreat, and the way they got there, it was weird because the way they got there was by bridge that Annette made, and I guess like after they had passed, it broke back down, so she had to make a new one.
Yes, I think just to make sure no one, there were no signs of someone infiltrating the compound or the grounds. She probably made it a very temporary bridge. They had to be super stealthy after all.
I forget. Did they kill them? They killed the Marquis in this episode.
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet?
It's not until episode 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, no, you're right. That's probably like one of the most like traumatic episodes.
And then we find out how the Forge Master is making
first
Night Creep. What's up?
We didn't even talk about how he died because they're being overrun, and that's trying to set up a bridge, and poor Edouard is like trying to catch up with them, and he's just being freaking like grabbed by like vampire by vampire
on all sides.
Yeah, he is basically overcome engulfed by freaking vampires. It was freaking like you feel bad for him. And again, he's not in. He was not appropriate for that element of combat.
Mm-mm.
And
he might have been good when it came to being a revolutionary, but
in terms
he's no
of
match for vampires.
Yeah, in terms of that situation, no, he wasn't. He was sorely outmatched.
He was the only pure human in that situation.
Yeah.
No special abilities, nothing special about him whatsoever. The closest thing to being special about him is his operatic singing.
Which makes it becomes a big part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like the end of episode.
Not quite.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah,
it
because
did have one scene left. We see Ulrich watching how the night creatures are made, and apparently,
with the abbot
because the art of Forge Mastery has been lost, devils have made machines.
Yeah.
To create night
with
creatures.
The abbot and Mizrak.
Well, we didn't even know that the abbot and Mizrak had any ties. We didn't know where this was.
Well, no, they show them briefly. They show them briefly as they're bringing people in to be used as materials.
Oh yeah, it is outside the abbot.
And
then we cut to Ulrach's watching from the shadows
Yeah. And
as Jacques' corpse on the same cart, but we see Edouard get turned into one,
yeah.
into a night creature.
Which his design is almost similar to the Guardian night creature that Isaac had towards the end of season 3.
Might have been a nod to it. Who knows?
Yeah. Like very close to it. But
Damn.
which by the way, the 2 notes I had for the abbot or the abbey and the forge master thing.
Oh, that was just a demon. It wasn't the Forge Master. The abbot himself is the Forge Master. He made a pact with that demon in order to
Yeah.
become
Well, I
a
made
Forge Master.
well. The 2 notes I made was, monk is evil ? And then, which going further, thinking, okay, yeah, they're the bad guys, and then Forge Master Monster Factory.
Yeah, pretty much. It just made, for some reason, the way the machine is shaped and whatnot, it just made me think of that toy growing up where you could create gelatin monsters and shit.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called.
So, all right, now on to episode 3, which is Freedom was sweeter. And
Look at you trying to tie the words together.
yeah. And it starts off with them certain cult leaders from the vampire cult being branded.
Oh, that was actually Vaublanc.
That was Vaublanc being branded?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, so vampire was being by Drolta. And for the episode, we get Annette's backstory. And by the way,
and this is
Jesus!
Not just, it wasn't just learning. It wasn't just learning about her backstory. It was also giving her and Richter a moment to potentially bond over the loss of their loved ones.
Also, kind of giving them similar situations, almost similar, because as Aden has already pointed out, Annette was from a plantation, and
over on what was the name? I wrote it down. I swear I wrote it down.
Why are you looking it up? But was and kind of sets up her discusses her childhood as well as discusses like how she became the freedom fighter. Even going
Saint-Domingue.
Okay, I think that's what it was. Yeah. But even going showing the her some of her motivation to basically becoming kind of getting out of there, which was the death of her mother. Holy shit. Where it's kind of hinted at that her mom might have been doing spellcraft or had some knowledge in spells.
Those were Haitian Vodun symbols, by the way, throughout their room.
But he basically right in front of child Annette takes her mom and just freaking breaks her neck, and it's just that is fucking horrifying.
Memory serves, she was younger than Richter was when he lost his mom.
Yeah. And I guess because of that, she continuously, as she's getting older, begins to increase the number of times she tries to escape, till eventually the final time, and they're about to brand her
with a fleur-de-lis symbol.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough.
And she's able, her powers activate, which kind of makes me question of whether or not especially for some of these characters, if their powers are awakened based on emotion.
More than likely.
Which makes a lot of sense when
I mean,
when we get to episode.
look at how speaker magic tends to seems to work.
Yeah, but I was gonna
If
say.
memory serves, Cypher stated somewhere that she has to put her heart into it.
Yeah.
She has to put her heart into it.
Don't piss her off though.
Yeah, so long as she feels an emotion strongly, she can use her magic.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I mean, it's made more apparent with episode 6. But yeah, going back to episode 3,
No, I was talking in terms of Cypher with what I was saying.
Oh no, I know. That's why I said like I mean, in terms of like, and I'm glad you brought up Sypha because as I mentioned, like, it seems like with a lot of these characters, their powers were awakened by an emotional response, or better yet, an emotional trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh my goodness, the events of her running away.
Yeah, and like I said before, animation very stylized in this.
We actually see her getting chased through the streets by Voblanc, his men, and his hounds.
Yeah, to the point where she goes to the opera house where Edouard is singing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and apparently he's an opera singer too. So
yeah,
there's a point where Voblanc
he even stated as such whenever they first met.
having the ball because I'm sure he didn't realize that he was a vampire, but just telling Voblanc like right off, like, dude, get the fuck out. People are trying to enjoy the music. Get out.
Yeah.
Like, if he knew,
if she's in here, you'll find her when everyone leaves.
Yeah.
She'll probably try to sneak out.
Yeah.
Leave. Get out.
That dude was a scumbag, and how he dies. Yeah, he dies. I'm just gonna say it flat out. He dies in a very appropriate way.
Funnily enough, the moment where Edouard moves his clothes aside, parts his clothes in the wardrobe to find her there, that's where Dropo 1 stopped for me because Netflix removed the video, privated the video immediately after it ended, and I was still catching up.
Why?
I don't, but oh well.
Privated the episode?
No, after Dropo 1, after the premiere ended.
Huh.
Because that's technically what it was. It wasn't really a live stream.
Okay.
But anyways.
But we find out that Edouard is somebody who's been...
Gift.
Huh?
His only gift is he can see auras.
It's like not only that, but he's been helping like people who basically are runaway slaves to get them to safety.
Give me a moment. Be right back.
Okay. Looking at the chat, net stream. So far, everything's looking good.
Sorry about that.
Hello.
Oh, hey, MJ.
Goodbye.
No.
She just showed up to freaking screw with us. That's funny. But anyways,
Pretty smart thinking. pretty smart thinking getting her out of there using
In a cello case.
I think it was it was either a cello or a bass. Either way.
Yeah, either way, I mean, yeah, that was actually very smart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure the dogs probably would have smothered though. But in the end, he does get her to safety. And with the
I don't know.
help
He did have her bathe and put on some
Oh,
clothes from
okay.
his wardrobe.
I didn't know that happened before, like after they meet up. Okay, that would kind of make sense. Because that would take the, kind of confuse the dogs a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they escape, or at least with the help of a ward, she's able to escape and find refuge with.
Meet her teacher.
Huh?
She eventually meets her teacher.
Yeah, the
because of the escape.
priestess. Who teaches her about her abilities and waking
Her
her
ancestry and all that stuff.
and kind of awaking her spiritual power, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And with everyone's help, they end up
overthrowing Voblanc
yeah,
plantation
and
as well as probably any other plantations on Saint-Amand.
yeah, and
Which is very, it's weird that they gave Annette all this backstory and whatnot, but at the same time, it is a very fitting way to bring in something that was going on during that time, because there were also uprisings in the plantations during the time of the French Revolution.
yeah. But
So,
and around
maybe
the like
props. Maybe props.
during towards the end of their revolution, the priestess who was teaching Annette has a vision of the vampire messiah, and tells her to go to
Go to France.
Yeah, France. Which, oh, by the way, quick mention with the fight between Annette Abward and Voblanc.
They had him on the roads.
Dude, he ran away like a bitch.
He knew he was outclassed.
I mean, with her, at the very least, with her abilities. Because he was basically...
You could tell he was thinking of using Edouard as a hostage, but he could tell that if he tried, he would die before he even made it over to Edouard.
Yeah. Which is why he ran.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what did you think about the first meeting between Orlox and Mizrak? And their little discussion as well as small fight that they had.
are you talking about in this? That was this episode, right? No.
Yes, it was in this episode.
I thought that was episode 5.
That's after
something different.
after their little their little discussion and fight that they had.
I don't know if it was like
in the Abbey courtyard.
Yeah, because I don't remember them fighting. Just kind of being very like back and forth with each other.
Because they did clash for a little bit.
I don't remember
with swords and whatnot. Orlox got the upper hand and basically.
Oh, for some reason I was thinking of Drolta. I don't know why.
Oh.
No, okay, yeah, the fight between Misrax and Orlox.
Mizrak.
That was kind of interesting. Even more so.
I was not expecting
Wait! We're going too far.
I was not expecting.
Hold on.
I was no. I'm not.
No, that was episode 4.
Trust me. I'm not going too far.
Because
in what I'm about to say.
Well, because we didn't finish talking. Well, we didn't finish talking about the other revolutionary tech for episode 3.
we're still in episode 3.
No, the monk and
Yes, we
vampire
are.
fight. Dude, that was in episode 4.
It happened in episode 3, dude. The fight between Orlox and Magi was episode 3.
Dude, I have it on here.
I made the note. I promise you, I made the note as
So
I was
did I.
rewatching the episode.
So did I. It was episode 4.
They met up inside his room in episode 4.
Okay, you might be right. I'm gonna concede and say you might be right.
But like that's why I was saying I'm not going too far in saying what I'm about to say.
Yeah, because I think they did fight in episode 3.
Because he says
I mean,
after he knocks Mizrak down, he's like, "Why don't we take this to a more private location?" I was like, "Are they hinting at what I think they're hinting at, or is he
That was
talking
my
about going to a more secluded location to fight to the
That was
death?
my
Like,
reaction.
which is it gonna be?
And then to
Which is it gonna be?
And then to my surprise, for episode 4,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it did go that way.
But at the same time that's going on, apparently, Drolta's giving an update to her, to Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And it seems Drolta's going to be meeting with our mysterious Forge Master the next day.
So, but first, because we're still on episode 3, we get another revolutionary meeting. This time, Maria inviting Annette.
And it's taking place in the town square this time, instead of somewhere in the forest.
Yeah, and
Or somewhere in the outskirts.
They get attacked by more night creatures, and Annette has to pause her attack at one point when she realizes that one of them is or resembles Edouard. Even takes her more aback to the fact that this night creature proceeds to
Just saved her fucking life.
Yeah. And I was kind of like thinking, oh, are they continuing what they were doing with season 3, or is it 2 or 3, where
It was 4.
no, oh, 4? Okay, no, it was 4. Where for those who don't know, for the original Castlevania series, there was a point where
seasons 3 and 4 were the seasons that had Isaac and Hector.
well, I was gonna say the night creature that was the fly.
Oh yeah,
Because there's a point. Actually, it started with season 3. Because there's a point where Isaac, while he's going through the desert, gathering his masses to get his revenge, he converses with apparently a night creature that could talk.
Oh, that's in 4. That's in season 4.
I'm pretty sure they introduced him in 3.
Because it was that happened either shortly before or shortly after they defeated Legion or Grand Floon, whichever you wish to call it.
Partway through 3, they introduced the fly. But he converses with this thing, and it talks about having memories of who it was. Mm-hmm. And they even go further than that when they're rebuilding the town, and Isaac's like,
yeah, that's in season 4, my friend.
Which that one is in season 4, but that's a good scene where he's talking about how, like, the night creatures were basically created as a tool.
Because the whole thing you're talking about, the entire thing is season 4, because Isaac at the end of season 3 was when he starts his little project of gathering a mass of night creatures to get revenge on Hector.
Not just Hector, but also I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Camilla.
Yeah, Camilla. And by the way, like the first scene with I know we shouldn't be talking about 4, but the first scene with the fly is him like playing with a little freaking teddy bear.
That was wild.
And then like the scene where like Isaac's like, "Here, have a berry," and he's like offering the berries to the buck, and it's like it's remembering like the different like foods that it eats, like the different like experiences that it used to have. So I thought that it was kind of cool that they continued that with Nocturne, where certain night creatures, when they're brought back, could possibly be the same people that the creatures were created from.
Mm-hmm.
Like somewhere in there, they're still there, and it's even made more apparent when this one night creature not only like say, and this is kind of going into future episodes, but not only saves Annette, but in while it's in prison, proceeds to calm the other night creatures through song.
Mm-hmm.
And conversing with them. Even kind of seeing what happens to Jacques.
Because music moves the soul, after all.
Yep. All right, now on to
interesting. Well, real quick. During that attack of the night creatures, the abbot is having a congregation in the church in the abbey.
Yeah, that's right. We're on the
And
same
he's
time.
telling them no harm will befall them. The only targets are the revolutionaries, basically.
He knew.
Which is a very strong hint that he might be the Forge Master.
Yeah. Either that, but like I said, he's like picking the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm.
Or, but, all right, episode 4, Horror Rising from the Earth. So yeah, I put monk / vampire. It should have been ex-vampire. So yeah, apparently after the fight, dude, it got me like thinking, like getting flashbacks of like certain like the first instance that came to mind was like the parody for Dragon Ball Z Abridged, where they're all like,
oh, you're talking about the relationship between
Bulma and Vegeta,
Torin and Yajirobe.
No, I was saying Bulma and Vegeta, where at first like while he's training, they just go back and forth with name calling, and Bulma's like, "My room, 10 minutes." And then they just proceed to freaking, like, go at it.
Yeah.
I was like I said, like, we both were like, are they going to... Oh, no, yeah, they did.
And funnily enough, that scene that he was talking about, where we find this out in episode 4, is at least two scenes into the episode.
Yeah.
Because it starts out with night creature Edouard strapped to a table waiting to be punished by the demon.
Yeah. Because they're like curious as to why he didn't kill Annette.
For saving Annette and killing another night creature.
Yeah.
And the abbot stops him.
He's like, no, I'm curious about this one.
He's like, now...
What makes you tick?
You don't seem to know what you are now. Shows Edouard his reflection in the sword.
Oh, that
or dagger, whatever blade the abbot draws, you know.
I mean, that would have been traumatic.
Bringing Edouard to tears shows that he is fully, like, not fully aware, but he is...
Well, he is aware of what happened.
Yeah, but we find out later he actually doesn't really have much of a memory, per se. He just has bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I'm just like, damn, that was cruel.
It was. It like extremely was. But
And then we hear Maria and the others discussing the possibility of the Abbot working with either the Forge Master or the vampires, if not both. And Tara's just
kind of questioning it.
She is strongly against it. She's like, "There's no way, no. There's no possibility of it."
And which, by the way, it like seeing that it kind of makes you think, is there something going on, Tara, that you don't want us to know?
Right.
And especially, it makes it more apparent when they sneak into the Abbey, she knows the secret entrance to get in there.
Like, yeah.
It's like, how would you know that?
I mean, hell, Richter himself questions it.
Like
out loud.
Like, how do you even know about that? And
at the same time, Richter is talking at the house whenever everyone's talking and whatnot. Richter's debating with Annette on whether or not she really did see Edouard.
Yeah.
And whether or not she'd be able to kill him if needed.
Yeah. But
and it was very, very like it shows that the writers wanted to keep a group of 4.
Yeah.
At least. So they're just like, okay, you know what? Seeing as Richter is wanting a plan, how about we all 4 go to the Abbey and see the truth firsthand. I need to see whether or not
this is true.
This is true myself.
Yeah. So they by the way, around the same time that they're sneaking in, Drolta, the Marquis, and a few, I think it was like a few other vampires were...
Nope, just those 2.
Just those 2? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Were showing up to discuss terms with the Abbot and Mizrak. And there is a bit of... I mean, obviously there's a bit...
Because Olrox watches Drolta show up from his room window.
Yeah. And obviously there's going to be a bit of tension between the two of them.
I loved the back and forth between Mizrak and Drolta. That was actually really freaking good.
Yeah. Which looking at it, Mizrak was, which we have been talking about it. Richter is played by Edward Blumel. Annette is played by Foso Nabedu. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Maria Renard is played by Pixie Davies. The Abbot is played by Richard Dormer.
Mm-hmm. Edouard was Sidney James Harcourt.
I was gonna say Tara was played by... I'm going down the list of IMDb.
Natasha, I think is how it's pronounced. Nastasia
Kinski. If I pronounce it wrong, let me know. Orox is played by Zahn McLarnon. Mizrax is played by Aaron Neal, which I think I've heard his voice once or twice in other things.
It sounds very familiar. It sounds very familiar.
So he's been in Warhammer.
Oh.
He's been...
He was the voice of Spoon in Paddington in the second Paddington movie.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched that, so I wouldn't know. He played in... He's played Sergeant Khan in Tolkien.
Okay.
Then I'm trying to find something that I know him in.
You'd probably know him as Mr. Dunlop.
Dunlap?
Dunlop.
From
Doctor Who.
Really?
He was in an episode in 2015, apparently.
That's not even coming up. Huh. Oh, there we go. Dr. Dunlap. Okay. Okay. Makes sense. But, and, Jolta is played by
Elrica
Johnson.
I think I pronounced that right. I don't know.
Elrica Johnson. So, but yeah, they show up for a meeting, and they request to see the basement where everything is being, made, where all the night creatures are being made, and also discussing the terms of whether or not the abbot can keep his end of the bargain to...
As far as numbers of night creatures go.
Yeah. And I guess the way they set this up, like, the abbot, like, his goal is to have some form of symbol of hope. This didn't make any sense to me. Okay, so...
And it's also to get rid of the revolution, because he sees them as sinful.
Yeah. And
going against
even
God.
going as far as, like, bringing up Joan of Arc. And I'm like, Joan of Arc, the Holy Knight, compared to a murderous freaking vampire. Like, when he made that comparison, I'm like, dude, you are dense and you are delusional. You do not want this vampire messiah to be the second coming of Joan of Arc. You are too delusional to think that. But anyways, at one point they do...
Apparently, Olrox decided to visit down there. So we got three different...
We'll get to that in a second. Because that basically kind of ends the episode, so to speak.
No, he showed up before like, as Victor and the others.
Well, I didn't want to bring him up yet till we get to, like, the big moment with him.
Understandable, but, like, he does have a scene where he's speaking with Edouard, who is confined in a cell down in the cellars.
Yeah, but he's kind of like spying. Like, in terms of this whole, like, as I was watching these episodes, I was, like, under the impression that Olrox was not fully, like, into this whole vampire messiah thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's made very...
We eventually find out why, but...
And that's made very apparent, yeah, towards the later episodes. But yeah, he's kind of exploring. He hears people showing up, so he kind of disappears for a bit, kind of hiding in the background to see what's going on.
Edouard did manage to get a laugh out of him.
Yeah. Actually, by the way, because at one point, Edouard is singing, and this
was right after Olrox left.
This clearly annoys the vampires, because Drolta's like, "Do they all do that?" And he's like, just like kind of." They're like, she's like,
"Just one."
Yeah, just one. And they're like curious as to why is one of them singing? Even like, I know this like goes into like close to like the last episode, or no, the last episode. But there's a point where Edouard is like singing again, and Azerbet is like annoyed, like stop that noise. Shut it up. Yeah, shut it up. Stop this noise right now. So the vampires are clearly annoyed by that sort of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least anything that would involve some type of like hope or like positive mood. But
yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, so our heroes sneak in around the same time that Drolta, the abbot, and the Marquis show up.
And like they hear Edouard singing, and that just sends them, like cutting through night creature after night creature trying to find them.
Yeah, and they show up.
And And well, they end up running into Drolta and the Abbot.
which kind of which kind of shocks Tara.
Much the terrors. Yeah.
And we find out more. We find out more why in the next episode.
Couple episodes, actually.
No, episode 5.
Oh yeah, it is towards the end.
Yeah, because episode 5, the note I made was Maria bombshell.
Yeah.
Like just bomb drop.
Like.
But we'll get into that when we'll start talking about episode 5. But yeah.
Yeah.
The Abbot
before our main cast runs into the Abbot and Drolta, we see Olrox finding a book in the machine's chamber.
Yeah. And looking through it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we get to like the fight between our heroes and the vampires. Which, by the way, again, Drolta is probably one of my favorites in this series or this season because she's a fucking powerhouse.
Oh yeah.
Like the way she fights, it is quick, it is precise, and it is so freaking like brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Like every step she's going for the kill. There's a point where
she gets Maria on the ropes at one point.
I mean, and she's fighting against. There's a point where she's fighting against Annette, and it's like Annette's like struggling to fight off her.
Eventually, yeah, but it's that happens after the Abbot, because we find out his name in the next episode. The Abbot stops Drolta. Basically, his exact words were, "She's just a child. The slaughter of children isn't part of our bargain."
Drolta's just
Something's up with that.
Oh, and she looks at Annette and we're like, what about that one? He's just like, she's like, okay. It goes after Annette.
Yeah. But the balls, I'll say this much. He's got a lot of gumption to be able to think that he can step in and stop her from killing someone.
Oh no, well, to go for the think of the children line. Dude, you're summoning freaking night creatures from hell. I think thinking of the children for your sake is way past the point, dude.
And funnily enough, I made this note. That set of lines combined with the shocked look that Tara and him exchanged when they met up down there, when the two factions ended up bumping into each other down there, I was just like, it causes me to think something's fishy here, and it's not the merman.
Yeah.
Which were standard creatures standard monsters that you come across in the games.
Yeah. And throughout the fight, Marquis gets killed.
In a really badass fashion. I think that was their nod towards Richter's item crash with the daggers.
Okay.
Called Thousand Blades. He literally throws 1,000 daggers.
And
in the span of seconds in the game.
And with things all freaking heating up, who decides to say, "Oh, hey, it's nice to see you, Richter," but rocks.
Yeah.
And the look
nice way to put it.
Dude, the look of freaking shock and horror on Richter when he sees his tormentor for the first time in freaking years.
Mm-hmm.
All he can say is, "We need to get the fuck out of here."
And he bolts.
He bolts. He leaves them all behind. which to an extent starts to create a little bit of resentment towards with the other characters.
At least in terms of a.
Yeah, she is like pissed.
She is severely disappointed in him.
Yeah.
For that.
And that kind of follows up to episode 5, which is the Natural Order, where
there was one last thing.
What was it?
Olrock's introducing himself to Jolta, and who
yeah, that's right.
That little bit of information about him being from the Aztecs, you know.
Yeah.
And after he tosses the Marcus's head over to Mizrak, he leaves, tucking that book behind his jacket. He might have been covertly showing Mizrak he had it. Who knows?
Yeah. But, yeah, so that kind of sets up, like, hey, like, he is now waiting to kind of converse with, this, vampire messiah. So now episode 5, the Natural Order. Richter basically non-existent. Richter's like non-existent with this episode.
Yeah, he only shows up in like one scene in the beginning. He does show up again towards the end of the episode, but
this more focuses on Annette.
We briefly see him at the beginning, stopping at the bank of a river. Whether it's outside of Mashkul or if it's outside of another town, we don't know.
Yeah, and he just starts breaking down because again, he just saw his tormentor for the first time in years. I would say it's kind of like how certain depictions of like when Samus comes across Ridley, yeah.
That only happened in Other M, but yeah, you're not wrong.
So, for this particular episode, it does mostly focus on Annette and Marie. With Annette, Maria, sorry, and them kind of wanting to, just do something.
What did you think of Annette's ability to use her gift to stitch somebody's injuries?
I thought that was kind of pretty cool, like some kind of like form of healing, or medical use of the ability. Because if you really think about it, because her power uses it allows her to control the metals, different metals in around her, right?
It's not just metal; it's also the earth. That's how she was able to make the bridge out of just the ground.
With her basically creating a needle and thread, or basically a needle or a magic needle, and stitching up where Maria's blood was, because she got cut during that fight
by Jolta. Yeah.
My best guess of how that would work is like whatever metal she has, like, because there is a certain percentage of metal that's in the human body, so to speak, and that allowing, like, with that connection between her blood and the metal needle that Annette made allowed her to basically mend the cuts closed.
Yeah.
Allowing her to heal.
Yeah, and meanwhile at the chateau, the funeral for the Marcus.
Oh my gosh.
Jolta's
reaction
to the Marchioness.
Just like, who cares?
She is disgusted.
She's just like, dude, you're a vampire. Get over yourself. And they're just like, And even a reaction where she's like, where she finds out that the wife is keeping the head.
Yes. I was just like, oh my god, is she really keeping the head?
Yeah.
I was with Jolta on that. Like,
Yeah, like why? And then they find out like we're gonna send some people after her or after Richter, and like, well, I guess if anything, take his head
next
and
to
put it next to the
platter
marquise.
Like,
I'm like, oh shit. But yeah.
And that, even knowing that it would be suicidal to do so, tries to freaking leave the house to go and free Edouard.
Oh yeah, like there's a point like because they're so broken right now, and she's so pissed off. She tries to do it on her own, and Maria's like, no, we need Richter.
Like, all right, fine, you can leave. Just promise not to enter the abbey or the chateau.
She's like, I promise not to enter the chateau. I'm going to spy at the abbey and the chateau.
Right.
But
like,
honestly, that was a good thing for her because
she spies Jolta making her way into town.
Well, that and talking to
Olrox,
which
after he frightens one of the kids.
Yeah.
One of the homeless kids.
No, well, she was about to eat him. And he's like, no. No, we're not doing that. No. Oh, no, I think it was he was about to eat the kid. And she's like, no, we don't need to panic. Even though
he just scared the kid. He ate one of the aristocrats.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did eat the... Okay, yeah, it was the aristocrat. And she was like...
Because they needed the influence that the aristocrats had, the non-vampiric aristocrats had.
And he's just like, but they like, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, but they taste so much better. That's basically his reaction to it.
Yeah, like it says something like as to how stealthy Annette was actually able to be in this moment, because she's even able to follow them to the cemetery.
Yeah, which they bring
to
up
continue eavesdropping.
They bring up a really interesting conversation. Like Jolta mentions, and I actually did a quick search on this. So Jolta mentions that back in the day she was a priestess of Sekhmet. Who, in her words, was the goddess of war and vengeance. Which I did a search on that, and
kind of is, but not quite.
Well, I was going to read what I found. Sekhmet, whose name means she who is powerful, or the one who loves Ma'at, was the goddess of the hot desert sun, plague, chaos, war, and apparently healing. So.
And it's actually, if memory serves, it's pronounced Mott.
Mott? There's like the dash there, so I assumed it was like two parts, like Ma'at.
Understandable.
And that actually plays a part, like her.
And she has a lioness. If memory serves, Sekhmet is depicted as a lion-headed figure,
which plays a part with what transpires throughout the episodes.
And given the way that Elizabeth speaks about, given the way Jolta speaks about Elizabeth, her Elizabeth's title as the Devourer of the Sun might not be all talk.
Yep.
But actually, of course, Olrox isn't buying the whole spill about how things will change for them, because it's been said so many times in the past.
Yeah, because he's very like, he's very not just cautious, but very like,
he's jaded
about these promises of like, oh, we're gonna break the humans, make the humans kneel. I'm kind of and it kind of makes me wonder if he's come across. It's a
very been there, done that.
Yeah, But I'm kind of wondering if maybe once or twice he's come across Alucard.
Or Dracula.
Or
Yeah.
Dracula, yeah. I mean, Dracula definitely. But
once Olrax and Drolta leave,
we get the revenge.
yes,
We get
Annette comes across Vaublon as he's speeding on someone.
which I
And
think was the same
holy
kid.
Shit, the way she did it.
Oh, yeah. Basically creating an iron prison made out of crosses where he couldn't escape, even in his bat form. And as he's and just entrapping him there till the sun came up.
And that was actually a nice nod towards like what Dr. Van Helsing said in the novel Dracula.
Okay.
Where he basically surmises that vampires are afraid of the symbol of the deity that they worship in life.
Well, I mean, that's kind of cool, but I also like Trevor's response, or like Trevor's notion of that too. Like his explanation, where apparently they can't handle like geometric shapes.
Yeah,
Where
which
it's
is
just
another
confused.
theory.
When they get the spinning star thing, and
yeah, that was actually the boomerang cross.
yeah, and Sypha's like why would a Indian blacksmith make a cross weapon? And he's like, well, like isn't it which begs the question, like, yeah, because you got like freaking Hindu vampires or like Russian or Viking vampires. They're not all gonna believe the same belief.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how Trevor basically says, no, they just, geometric shapes. That confuses them. I'm like, that is like the perfect explanation. Like, just throw up a cross. It confuses them.
Back to the
So at one point, and
we see Richter ending up getting his trademark headband from the game from a trio of girls.
We didn't talk about the bombshell.
That happens after.
Oh, okay, yeah, because
after he gets the headband.
He gets the headband.
And he's just like, if we see him walking away, broken, stuffing the headband into his pocket. Yeah, you can see all the self-doubt because of the running away and being unable to do anything.
Yeah, he's like completely
in the face of Olrax.
Destroyed because of this.
You can tell he feels helpless and depressed about this. And then Emmanuel, the abbot, shows up at Tara's house.
To try to,
Oh, boy.
Oh, this moment, like, again, just a bomb drop.
Uh-huh. It's like...
just a nuclear bomb going off. When it's like, why would our worst enemy come to our house? Like, how would you even know where this is? And it turns out that Maria's dad is still alive.
Yeah.
And it's the abbot.
And he lets it slip during the argument between himself and Tara.
Yeah.
It's like, if it weren't for that, we wouldn't have had Tara. We wouldn't have had Maria.
And I like Maria's like, you said my dad died. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. But that's not the only bombshell to have dropped in this episode, because shortly after she runs off to her room, we see Richter entering a tavern.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah,
he gets fed by courtesy of an old man who seems to know who he is and all about the vampire killer.
And then, even going further than that, a drunken freaking vampire shows up wanting, what's
The
his
old
name?
man's head.
Huh?
Well, wanting the old man's head, and we find out shortly after that, after he kills the vampire with the vampire killer, that the old man is Richter's grandfather, Just.
Just Belmont. Which,
But funnily enough,
his fight with
it's
that...
it's uncertain in the games if Just is Richter's grandfather or great grandfather.
Yeah.
Because Just's adventure takes place in 1748, whereas Richter's takes place in 1792.
Okay. But, that leading on to, episode 6. Guilty men to be judged. Where,
It starts off with Drolta meeting Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, meeting up with
What
her.
did you think of that shiny? What did you think of Elizabeth's chariot?
I was more
There's no
focused on
ifs
what
and
she
buts
was
about it.
wearing.
Oh,
Oh, like that was
Yeah.
way over the top.
it was very much over the top.
Like, part of me was like, why is she wearing white and gold? Like, for somebody who is like supposedly the like devourer of light, I was thinking of like more of a like darker colors for her, like her kind of
Oh
her setup.
Forgot to mention one thing involving Sekhmet. She's also the daughter of Ra,
Oh yeah, that's right. But
who is the god of the sun
yeah, going into the because
and the Egyptian champion.
yeah, the introduction, like the final, like because we seen her only in the shadows till now.
Yep.
Like only glimpses and shadows, but we finally see her, with like a almost thick Russian accent,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about how she like drank the blood of Sekhmet, and she is now Sekhmet. And she would basically tear down the
least an
pillars that
avatar
Ra
of it.
has created.
Yeah. I honestly still am unsure if she really does become an avatar of Sekhmet or she just believes herself to be one.
You know what? And it just
You know,
dawned
it's-
on me of a wasted opportunity.
Mm.
Queen of the Damned. This is not.
Mm.
Tell me I'm not wrong.
I can't argue against it. I
But
can't
then
necessarily
again,
argue against it.
then again, we probably would have gotten hit by YouTube for it.
Maybe, maybe not.
But yeah, and oh, actually, we forgot to talk about something because in an earlier episode, when Drolta shows up, she's like inspecting girls, like for like kind of auditioning them and like tasting them.
I
And-
decided not to put that in my notes because it was just it felt so inconsequential.
Well, I mean, like when she's first introduced, like when
That girl,
Ezerbet,
yeah,
that
that girl was terrified.
yeah, she was. They basically locked her in a cage, and brought her as a freaking snack for Ezerbet.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And we see in I think it's a later episode. Let me double check my notes. Yeah, it's got to be a different. Yeah, it's got to be the next episode. We see in the next episode that just even further proof as far as like how cruel Erzabeth is, because she basically keeps that girl alive
And just keeps
as
drinking off of
as
her.
a snack.
yeah, it just keeps drinking off of her. But
But the next scene, we see more interaction between Richter and we see a continuation of
even
that of where the last episode ended off.
which again, going further
That was
into
great.
the fact that apparently Tara and Just knew each other. Tara knew where Just was the entire time and didn't tell Richter at all.
Yeah, just like, I'm going to kill her.
That was what he said. I'm going to kill her.
And then he finds out that Richter didn't know he was there.
Oh, he's
Sarah
like,
didn't
yeah,
tell him
because
a
he's
damn
like,
thing. He's like, oh.
Because at first he's like, what do you want? Money? What do you want? He's like, dude, I don't want anything from you. I didn't know you were even here. He's like, wait, really? Like, then why are you here?
Yeah.
And
it was cool seeing Juiced in this. Even in the lesser state they had him in.
yeah.
We at least get to hear a tiny bit. A very, very tiny bit about his adventures. Because before Richter, Juiced, as far as the bloodline, the Belmont bloodline goes, Juiced was the strongest Belmont. Especially, and he technically kind of still is up until the Battle of 99.
They hint at that for the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Because they mentioned...
he is the strong... until Julius, in the 1990s, Juiced is the strongest magic-using Belmont.
Yeah, because they talk about... They bring up...
He hardly has to touch the vampire killer.
Yeah. Well, I'm mentioning, like, when it comes to their powers, they did reference... I'm drawing a blank again. The speaker character.
Which one? Sypha?
Yeah, they reference Sypha.
It's because they're descended of her and Trevor.
I know, that's what I mean. It's like, they make it... I like that they made a quick reference to her as to, like, how they got their powers. Because after her and Trevor having, children... They each one probably had the ability to conjure magic, which
more than likely,
in terms of like being a monster hunter, was probably very useful at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made more apparent when towards the final, like the final moments of this episode. But
oh yeah,
but we also
we find out that Juice, we find out a little bit about Juice's past and why he's unable to use magic,
and it's kind of like
or how he lost his magic.
And it's almost his story is almost similar to Richter's.
Mm-hmm.
And to an extent, they're able to kind of relate to each other on that note.
I did make a bit of a nod to the previous series.
Yeah.
Because I was like, at one point, Juice takes a very pessimistic stance on the battle against evil.
Yeah.
As well as how he lost his... that combined with the conversation about how he lost his magic and everything that happened in his past, I'm just like, oh, more proof that God hates Sypha and her bloodline.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Part of the reason I wrote that down is I was expecting a bit of a laugh out of that.
Oh yeah, because she said that, like, "Hey, God hates me."
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm kind of wondering, like, if they didn't actually kill Death and then just send him back to where he came from. Like, I can only imagine how pissed he was, or how satisfied he was.
Huh? There is a theory among some fans of the Netflix series that Jolta is actually Death.
That who?
In another disguise.
Jolta?
Yeah.
I would kind of understand that. However,
how things play out, yeah.
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 So anybody who thinking she's Death, you're dead wrong.
But We
But-
see Nikolai, the person Jolta was speaking with at the Marcus's at the chateau during the Marcus's funeral,
Yeah.
heading
Um,
towards
Richter.
Just and Richter.
And
And during that, Annette is trying to commune with her ancestors.
communes with the priestess that taught her all she knows.
Yeah, and this is very telling of Annette's
Ability.
and her I guess you could say her mental state in a way,
Okay.
because the only her teacher, the priestess, tells her the only reason she's unable to hear her ancestors, that it only sounds like a babble to her, because she's not properly listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
She's not giving herself the time to actually stop
And listen.
and listen.
Which kind of makes sense considering with all the stuff that she's gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And like all the trauma she's had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
And we get another moment. What were you gonna say?
oh, I was gonna say we're getting into my favorite part of the episode.
We first off, we get a moment where Edouard sings again
Okay.
while Olrox is talking with Mizrak up in Olrox's room,
Okay.
and there was a bit of humor in this moment due to the fact that Olrox understood the words of the song. It's like, he's threatening you.
Or at least not understanding the words, but more so kind of understanding the feeling that comes from the song itself.
Yeah. Could be a little bit of both. I mean, they do portray Olrox to be pretty ancient.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's kind of hinted at that he's been around since the Aztecs.
Mm-hmm.
And that
We also learn the circumstances as to what led him to kill Julie.
because at one point he was in love with someone else, and could have been killed by Julie, which is why he went after her.
No, his lover was most definitely killed by Julie, because when he spoke to young Richter, he was like, she killed someone I loved. It's only fitting that I kill someone you love. Or something like that.
And I think he kind of was like setting up, we're like, get strong, we're gonna fight again, or we're gonna fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of inviting Richter to freaking take him on.
Yeah. And right after Edouard finishes singing, he speaks to one of the two night creatures keeping watch over his cell. And, turns
It's
out it's Jacques.
It's Jacques. Which I thought was, again, it's cool because they were talking, because he talks about how he's like tell me, friend, like, what do you remember about yourself? And he's like, I remember being basically talking about like listening to Maria and loving what she has to say, and then remembering his name.
Yeah.
But
Then outside, Maria is speaking with her dad about why he was never there for her.
oh yeah, that was so stupid. That was so stupid on her part. Because at the same time, freaking Ezerbet's showing up. And
Yeah.
Drolta,
Before she leaves, Drolta notices her.
yeah, with the abbot, and kind of puts two and two together.
Mm-hmm.
So now he has. I mean, as they progress, and she tells Ezrabeth that, hey, I know how we get the Abbot to do what we want.
Yep. Well, that I thought she said that in the beginning of the next episode during the ball.
Yes. Sorry, I'm kind of going.
It's all good. It kind of all mixes together.
But
at a point.
Yeah. So towards the end of episode 6, Richter and Juiced are captured by the vampires that were hunting him down, and he's at his lowest point. And
then he remembers everyone he still cares about that's still alive,
and that triggers his powers to return. And that freaking fight with him getting his powers back.
By the way, that little explosion of power that happened.
Yeah.
When he got it back, that was another nod. That was a nod to another item crash.
Really?
Yeah, with the cross.
Okay.
Called Grand Cross.
Okay.
One of the most broken freaking item crashes in the game.
But yeah, like with him using fire, which with his fire was more of a blue flame.
Mm-hmm.
Which was I
believe it was like that in Rondo of Blood.
Which
in Rondo of Blood, if you used an item crash without any sub weapons, Richter's whip would be on fire.
Which, hold on.
And oh my god, I love the rendition of Divine Bloodlines they used during this fight scene.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I honestly I'm not gonna lie, part of me thinks the reason for Edouard even being in this series is to have an excuse for there being like some kind of vocal melody in this rendition of the song. You know?
Yeah.
What's up? Are you watching the scene again?
Hold on, I was just making. I just wanted to double check on something because there's a point where. Because I was kind of wondering if it's like a continuous blue flame, and looking at the looking at future scenes for future episodes, like when he's like at points where he's using
it on and off. That will.
I know, but I'm saying like it doesn't change to like a yellow flame. It's a continuous blue flame.
Yeah, it's
like
always blue.
I mean, he's able to use, if I remember all of his abilities, he's able to use ice, he's able to use lightning, and he's able to use fire, which the fire itself...
Fire seems to be his strongest element.
Yeah, which looks really freaking cool.
And lightning, I believe, would probably be his weakest element in terms of, like, which ones he can use well.
I'll be honest.
Because we only see him use it maybe once or twice in the entire series, and if memory serves, that was only when he was a kid.
By the way, I got a joke, but I'm gonna save it for like the last when we're talking about the last episode for Richter.
Okay.
But yeah, so he gets his powers back, and the use of like some of the elements is pretty cool. I like halfway through the fight, he's fighting a guy like 2-on-1. And he creates
Nikolai
like these...
and one of the other vampires.
Huh?
Nikolai and one of the other vampires.
And he creates like these arm guards out of ice. And it's so cool. Like they're just going full force. And he's just freaking blocking them left and right. To the point where he's able to get in a few jabs at them. And I like the final scene where you have like the big buffy Russian vampire like on the ground.
Yeah, Nikolai. Yes.
And he's just like, you know, I forgot something for the longest time, and I'm paraphrasing, and I love the line where he's like, I at first I thought I was gonna say something witty or creative, but fuck it.
Fuck it.
It just just blows him to hell. That's like the biggest diss for a vampire. You're just so OP. You don't give a shit to what to say to him for the last words.
Yeah. Going back to the to the song that was playing during this whole scene, Divine Bloodlines.
Yeah.
The scene itself, in my opinion, not as epic as the one from season 2.
Okay.
Whenever they're storming Dracula's castle. But,
still pretty cool.
Yes. Still very, very cool.
That's understandable. But yeah, and that the way they ended that freaking episode was so great with that, just, again, one of my favorite fights of the whole series so far. Like one of my.
What do you think of the interaction between Richter and Just right after that?
Oh, where he's like, I think I just got my powers back. He's like, yeah, I think you did. And he's like, what happened?
Yeah, must be because I'm still young.
I thought that was dude, that was good. That's kind of a dick thing to say.
But Juice just goes right along with it,
yeah, maybe
it is.
Maybe I am too old. I would have been surprised if, with how decrepit, freaking, how kind of an old codger, not old codger, but how the attitude of Juiced. I probably would have it would have been funny if he would have said, oh, maybe. You fucking bastard.
Right. You're probably thinking something along those lines, like, little shit.
You're just like our ancestor.
Just like how I used to be, kind of shit.
No,
Juice was a cocky motherfucker.
No, I was thinking of
back in his prime.
Way Trevor, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like our ancestors.
The story that Nocturne covers, Rondo of Blood's story of sorts, a take on Rondo of Blood's story, is like a little over 300 years after Trevor's.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, it's still really good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now episode 7. Blood is the only way. So, I forget.
What do you think of? What do you think of Elizabeth's speech?
Are we talking about with the abbot, or are we talking about with all
to her followers at the beginning of the episode?
Very pretentious.
At the chateau,
Very,
because
very
I even
pretentious.
I even made a note about this. I'm just like, this speech of hers is part of the reason why I question if she really is Sekhmet, or an avatar of Sekhmet, as she says, if she's in the throes of madness.
I would say in the throes of madness. I mean, she makes a comment about her drinking the blood of Sekhmet, which makes me question, so drinking, which is why I made the Queen of the Dam comment. Because it's like, wait, so you drank Sekhmet's blood, and you suddenly have her powers? You were Russian freaking... when did you find the time to go to freaking Egypt?
Right? Because it would have to have been through meeting Drolta that she drank of the blood of Sekhmet.
Yeah. That would be the only way. would be my best guess. Or like, I mean, at one point, Drolta like realizing the influence that as Ezebet had gave her kind of the edge by with the blood of Sekhmet.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
So she could create a following and basically renew the faith of her god, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I found her speech to be very pretentious and very like we've heard these speeches before.
Yeah. Even Dracula, in the throes of despair over the loss of his wife, when
He didn't
he's
give any speeches.
done, gave a much better speech than her.
I mean, dude, he literally freaking made what's his name? Like to the point where he like Dracula was no nonsense. Like yeah, he was depressed. His campaign against humanity was basically a call for suicide, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Or like self destruction. And what was the Viking vampire's name? I forget.
It's been so long, I don't remember. But putting him in his place was amazing. But during that, like after the speech was when the ball happened. We have Drolta telling Elizabeth about Marie, about the abbot having a daughter.
Yeah. And that poor girl still gets fed on.
Which,
yeah. Okay,
which reminds me, there was something we forgot in the previous episode, and I don't remember which one it was, but it was during one of the conversations between Olrox. I think it was the first conversation between Olrox and Mizrak back at Olrox's room.
Yeah, because there's
where he was questioning whether or not the abbot was planning to eventually turn on Ezebet. You know,
either that or like Ezebet turning on the abbot, and very like I mean it was one of those moments that was really kind of like showing that he's kind of questioning Ezebet and her like what she's doing. And that kind of goes into more and more fruition where you have Mizrak, who is a very religious man. And at one point they're talking, like, there's a conversation where they're talking about God. And Ezebet freaking fires back by saying, I am the one God.
Vampires used to be gods. There's only one God.
I am God. And this kind of scares...
that at one point? Yeah.
Huh?
Ezebet saying that at one point? Yeah.
Yeah. But,
let's see. During that ball back at Tara's place, or at least at a river near their house, she's trying to talk to Maria, and Maria's having none of it.
Yeah.
Where we finally get to see. Oh shit! We didn't mention Maria's usage of Byakko,
the turtle,
the white tiger, during the last attack of the night creatures. Well, during the second meeting.
Well, we did mention that she I mean, to the extent,
Byakko or Bahu.
Because she has the two. She has the birds, she has the tiger, and then she has the turtle.
Yeah, we finally in episode 7 we finally see the tortoise, Ginbu or
no. In one of the earlier episodes we see him.
Oh yeah, she did use him to block an attack, didn't she?
Yeah.
But in this, we see her using it to cross the stream to get away from her mom.
Yeah. Which she's very kind of disappointed.
Like, oh my goodness.
She's like very withdrawn now because, you know, just finding out that bombshell. And eventually coming across Richter, who's come back.
Well, that was after they got attacked by the Marchioness.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because the Marquis's wife shows up, and with another vampire, and they're trying to defend him off. And Richter shows up, basically being a boss and getting rid of them.
Destroys the Marchioness before she gets a surprise attack in on Maria.
Yeah, and I like like the one thing that Maria says, like, "Are you wearing a headband?"
Yeah. Oh, you're wearing a headband. Because if memory serves, the headband is a symbol of the revolution.
Yep. So they all show up, or they all go back home.
Tara's reaction when she finds out that he met his grandpa.
Oh yeah, he's like, she's like, "Where have you been?" Well, I was with my grandpa. She's like, "Oh."
It's like, oh.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, great. I might have yet another thing for them to answer
he's
for.
just like, he's like, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah. I understand. Kind of thing.
Only to find out that Maria's dad is still around.
Yeah. But Olrox is this complete and utter disrespect of Elizabeth during his conversation with her.
Well, it's like not just that, but her kind of like basically,
I love it.
Kind of really kind of over like really taking advantage of her power over the vampires, where she makes a comment about even I have to keep my dragons in line, and
which he didn't care for.
He did not care for that. He did not.
That was a murderous glare if I ever saw.
Oh, he was pissed, and like Droltas keep telling him to freaking bow, and he was super pissed. And I think that was like the breaking point where he's like, "Oh fuck you! I'm gonna freaking help the good guys."
Right.
And I like at first where everybody,
and to make it worse. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say because everybody's at the house, and I like, by the way, because they're all talking about Annette.
Oh, you're going into a later scene.
Because they were talking about Annette, and he's like, Richter's reaction after seeing Annette, because she walks off angrily. He's like, oh shit.
I wanted to speak of something else involving the scene between Olrox and Elizabeth.
Okay.
His reaction to her basically demanding that he do exactly as she is doing in Europe.
Yeah.
So that the people in the Americas are ready to accept her.
Yeah.
Whenever he takes her there.
Yeah, he was not having that.
But yeah, the whole thing between Richter and Annette in this, they patch things up.
Yeah,
and
it's a good moment.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell by the way she's talking to him in this particular scene that she was far more worried than she was letting on.
Yeah, she was upset, sure, but in the end, they do patch things up. And as I said before, this kind of sets up, because you mentioned it, it kind of sparks a little bit of a part of like a bond between Annette and Richter.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm forgetting anything, soon after...
Elizabeth meets with Emmanuel.
Oh, yeah. Basically demanding...
And Elizabeth questions him directly instead of through Drolta this time about whether or not he can provide the requested number.
And basically says, like, look, how do I know that you're on your how do I have your word? And he's like, well,
Why don't we do something to seal your life?
Like an offering in
Maybe
blood.
a daughter?
Like yeah, she's like an offering blood, a loved one of maybe a daughter, and he's like, and I like Mizrak's reaction where he's like, the abbot doesn't have a daughter, and he sees his face, he's like, oh. Fuck.
We're fucked.
He's like, dude, the one guy who's leading your church, and you just find that out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all set up that they're not supposed to have children. And for Mizrak to find that out.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, not just to find that out, but to find that out from an enemy. Just think of the betrayal on that one.
Yeah. Like, you can tell this is setting the groundwork for something else.
Yeah, and
involving Mizrak.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, I mean, I will say kind of like with his conversations with Orlox, his alliances are sort of changing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, at one point
back at Terra's place,
yeah,
they're formulating a plan on how to, destroy the machine.
And Orlox is like, well, maybe I can help. It just like shows up, and everybody's like, oh fuck. trying to like attack him. He's like, no, look, I'm here to help you. And Richter's like, no, full.
Just read the fucking book.
Oh, I like he actually said that. But really, Richter's like, oh, fuck you, dude. You killed my mom. And he's like, he's in a smoke form. Yeah, he's like, read the fucking book. So long. Kill you later.
Pretty much.
And it turns out,
like, Richter even straight up says, if you've got this book, why don't you do it? It's like, it needs a human touch. Plus, I can't be seen to be doing anything that shows I'm against Elizabeth.
Yeah. So they do take the book, and Tara realizes that, oh no, yeah, he was not lying. This is the book that could.
Yeah, the only way to destroy the machine is to put it back. Is to open a portal to hell where it was made and push it back through.
Yep. So she starts translating. At one point, starts translating the book to figure it out. And during this while everybody's asleep, Maria, I'm so pissed off with her. Because, like, this was a dumb freaking move. Like, I get it. I kind of get it.
I don't entirely falter for, like, having that youthful hope, that
well, that's why I said
get your parent back.
That's why I said I get it, but at this point, it ends up biting her in the ass because she's like, we're trying to.
She shows up in the Abbey, sneaks into the Abbey to speak with her dad, trying one last time to get him to leave, to stop with this madness and live with it.
And his reaction is like, well, you saved me the trouble. Time to sacrifice you.
In a way, yeah. Like, you could tell he didn't want to. But at the same time, he's like, I've got to do this.
Yeah. So, yep, she's captured, and then that leads to... sorry.
Something.
Yeah, because they wake up...
We do have one other major thing that happens.
Because I forgot, yeah.
Elizabeth performing her magic to eclipse the sun.
Yeah, because they find out, and during this, while this is happening... Richter and the others find out that Maria took off, possibly to the Abbey, and start making their way.
Well, Richter didn't. Maria went on her own.
Well, I'm saying, like, she wasn't there. So they assume that, she went to the Abbey. So they start
No,
heading...
Mizrak shows up. Mizrak showed up to,
Oh,
to
yeah, that's
tell
right.
them what happened.
That's right, yeah.
Because
Mizrak's like...
Mizrak saw the abbot capture her with his night creatures.
And he's like, dude, she's gonna be killed. And they all, everybody, including Mizrax, start heading towards the Abbey. And as it's happening, she uses her magic to eclipse the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of follows up to episode 8.
Final episode of the season.
Which is the Devourer of Light. And at this point, with the sun being eclipsed, vampires are basically...
They can do as they want.
Yeah, can do whatever they want now. Because they are not affected by sunlight anymore. And our heroes are trying to make their way to the Abbey. They do eventually get there. Just as...
Elizabeth, by the way, real quick. Sorry to interrupt again. Elizabeth transforms.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because
and her appearance looks very much
like a
lion,
lion,
as far as her face goes.
Yeah. Well,
looks
and
very
her,
much
and
like
her
a
hair,
lion.
like almost looking like a lion's mane.
Yeah, even though lionesses don't really have one, but yeah, you're not wrong there. We also see, like, after the eclipse happened, we briefly see Drolta's transformation as well, and it's very reminiscent of a succubus. Primarily the one that you fight in Symphony of the Night.
Okay.
And we can get more into that whenever it comes time to finish off the episode.
Yeah, because our heroes are trying to get to the Abbey, and eventually, just in the nick of time, as the abbot is about to sacrifice Maria.
Mm-hmm.
And they stop him, only for the vampires to show up. And as they're fighting the vampires, and okay, so Mizrak,
the abbot, the abbot, oh my god, the abbot. During the whole fight, or right before the fight, either or, I don't remember which right now. The whole reading scripture, primarily the part of the scriptures about Abraham having to sacrifice Isaac.
Oh God.
That was
he's trying to like relate, and it's like, no, you're
nothing like Abraham.
Exactly. Again, this is a character that unfortunately has gone so far in the deep end that he doesn't know what right from wrong, and is trying to find any excuse possible to...
During the fight scene, there is one night creature that is slightly reminiscent of another monster from the games. The Mothman.
Okay.
You know which night creature I'm talking about, right?
I'm assuming from the first episode, right?
No. It was during the fight in the Abbey.
Okay.
In this final episode.
I'll have to take a look at it.
Okay.
But
but like at one point Tara manages to disarm Emmanuel.
Yeah.
And just even further proof as to how far off the deep end he goes is like, where's the ram, Tara? Where's the ram?
Oh, that plays a part towards the end of the episode, which I don't want to talk about it right now because I want to get to because I want to talk about this fight, because Drolta and her vampire show up, and during the fight,
Tara is reciting the Enochian incantation.
You have Annette in the underground, getting to the machine, she's able to take out a few of the night creatures, including the one that with the 3 heads that was basically kind of watching all of them.
Yeah.
And she's able.
We also see Jacques and another night creature take out. Oh wait, no, that's later in the fight. Never mind. Shutting up.
Well, I'm just just focusing on the Annette stuff.
Okay.
Just so we can kind of get it out of the way, because Annette does go underground. She starts fighting that creature, and during the fight, the Jacques night creature and another one proceed to, for a brief moment, assist Annette, and
no,
pin down.
You're confusing it a little bit.
Well, they pin him down, and she's able to take deal the final blow to the creature.
Yeah, I forgot about them helping with that. I thought it was just more. Yeah, they did pin him down.
And eventually, like after she tries to talk to Edouard to come with her. She's like, no, I'm doing more good here right now. Like, I think he kind of realizes that his singing kind of influences the night creatures at that point.
Yeah.
So he kind of like he basically like, leave me here, my work's not done, and she goes off to start her incantations to move the Forge Master machine into hell, because around the same time during the fight upstairs,
Tara's eyes are starting to eventually turn completely black. Olrox joins in on the fray, helping Mizrak and the others.
Yeah. Richter's still being a freaking boss with some of his not with his newfound abilities. Taking on
that does bring up one of the points of Drolta looking like that succubus boss.
Yeah.
From Symphony of the Night. The little thing where she uses the where she extends the
tips of her
parts of her wings.
Yeah.
The tips of her wings. That's actually an attack the succubus can do in that boss fight.
Okay. And then also Maria, like, just going nonstop summoning familiars to take on vampires.
Yeah. Like, it goes to show how in tune she is with her animal companions, that she is able to just do all of that as well as plan out her next move, to the point to where she did a small dance in the air to make another summoning circle as Drolta is chasing her across the frickin' pews, and just freaking uppercuts her using the back of Ginbu. That was ingenious.
Yeah. And it's like, and she at first, I mean, with her previous fight with Annette, like when she's facing her like one-on-one, I mean, she was a powerhouse. And then as this episode, as she's going against multiple people, she's kind of having a hard time with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that soon changes when Erzsébet shows up, and it there's a point where like
before she even enters the room, the sheer amount of power that Erzsébet
has basically just stops everybody in their tracks.
Like, damn.
I mean, it gets to the point where like freaking Olrox basically smokes Mizrak away.
Yep.
Realizing, oh fuck.
Yeah, and because Tara's in danger, because Maria's in danger, Tara ends up stopping the incantation, dropping the book to, try and save Maria.
Make it and not giving and making it impossible for Annette to. She doesn't even realize that she stopped the incantation, because she's trying to push it. Um,
The
the
demonic
portal
energy from the portal and the machine itself
proceed.
basically just dissipates the spiritual incarnation of Papa Legba and his dog.
Yeah, and causing her a little bit of harm. But she and with that, like, because they can't do anything with the machine now, she heads back upstairs. And
Yeah, and also because Edouard at that point showed up to tell her, "I've got this. I'm not afraid of it. I have no reason to fear demons."
and now, Ezrebet, like,
But,
basically
like-
just
but,
slowly walking to Maria, and each
But,
of our characters just trying to do something.
Here's
and-
the thing. Here's the thing. Before the whole bit between Edouard and Annette inside the machine chamber,
Yeah,
is when we have that moment where Elizabeth hears
the singing.
Edouard singing, and has the abbot send a night creature down there to stop it,
Yeah,
and that's when that's when the actual uprising of the night creatures happens. I'm thinking.
yeah,
Because Jacques and the other night creature who assisted in killing that demon, killed the night creature that got sent down there. You remember?
yeah,
At the same time, this is like, at the same time, Elizabeth
it's just slowly.
basically interrupts Tara trying to get the abbot to stop this madness. It's like, please,
well, hold
the
on.
time for human sacrifices is long since passed. I don't want to kill her.
Well, before we get into that, because again,
I want to turn her into a vampire.
well, before we get to that, because Ezrebet, before we even are privy to that knowledge, Ezrebet, because they're all thinking Ezrebet wants to kill Maria, and as she's like slowly just kind of waltzing towards Maria, everybody is trying. Everybody is trying to like do something. Richter tries to get a few
And
shots in,
nothing-
even going as far.
Nothing works.
Even going as far as to basically full force, like, freaking fire in her face. And
Yeah.
that does
Nothing
absolutely
is working.
nothing to her.
Yeah, at least nothing that we can see. And that actually is what causes Olrox in his misform to grab Mizrak and take off out the window.
Yeah, and then we get privy that Ezret's real plan. We're like, and I think ultimately that cuts deeper than him just having to kill Maria, because it's like, oh no, I'm not gonna kill her. I don't want you to kill her. I want to turn her into a vampire. And then I can only imagine for season 2, where we get actually, I'm going to talk about that in a second, because
Yeah.
because there's a point where Tara realizes what's going on, and Tara is like, no, it's like you want you want one person that he loves, right? And she's like, take me. And Ezrebet,
He's broken.
out of all the people,
He just straight up breaks at this point.
huh?
He just straight up breaks at this point.
Yeah, he does. Because and Ezrebet, remember, like, out of all the people that Ezrebet has tortured, killed, and harmed, she remembers Tara.
Yep.
And this probably like hits. This probably
I remember you.
and
You
I
killed
bet
your sister.
I wouldn't have been surprised if this sparked a kind of bit of joy for Ezrebet,
Oh, more than likely.
realizing that the one that got away she now has, and even more
Uh-huh.
so is connected to the abbot she's trying to control.
Yep.
So with everything going on, she's like, they question the abbot if he loves Tara, and Tara's like, I'm your ram, I'm your sacrifice, and he's like, yes, I love her. And it gets to the point where Elizabeth forcefully grabs Tara and proceeds to start draining her of her blood.
Yep.
And Richter,
right as Annette breaks a hole open inside the
and they escape.
Yeah.
And even as Elizabeth said, and she kept her word, basically opens up her arm and proceeds to have Tara drink from her blood, turning her into a vampire.
Then Drolta leaves to go, kill the rest,
kill them,
everyone else. And
and
you're going to kill them. You're going to kill them now. It's like, oh, it's part of the agreement.
Yeah,
they're revolutionaries.
Yeah, because she uses his own words against him too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you said that, she's like, you said that revolutionaries must perish. And proceeds to take a few vampires with her. So, oh man. Now we're getting to the final bit.
As Mizrak and, as they're escaping, none of the masses on the streets are happy to see the trio.
By the way, did you notice that half of them are vampires?
Yeah. Richter, Maria, and Annette.
I can only...
They're throwing all kinds of stuff at them.
I can only imagine...
shows up to get them out of town.
Well, I can only imagine the ones that were throwing shit were actually vampires.
Right. Much to the disdain of Olorox, because Olorox didn't want Mizrak to go back into town.
Yeah. But they head back, probably heading back to the house.
But,
not without hearing Drolta basically going full force towards them. And she speeds for an attack. And at first it seems like Richter might have been killed.
She actually managed to kill Richter?
Yeah. But it turns out, nope. It was her that got killed by a familiar sword.
Alucard, which is fitting given that she looks and even attacks like the succubus from Symphony of the Night, where you're playing as Alucard. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm not okay with them bringing Alucard in at this point.
Why? Because...
I'm not okay with it.
Because, once again, we have to rely on Alucard to help.
Not just that, but Alucard doesn't show up until after Richter disappears for an unknown reason to the player of Symphony of the Night, unless they've played it before.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Everybody liked Alucard. I mean, he's the freaking son of Dracula. He's the heart.
Part of the reason why I am I'm disappointed in their usage of Alucard at this point, because it kind of feels in a similar vein as
what they did with the last season.
Them milking Alucard as Konami did in the Silent Hill stuff with Pyramid Head.
Yeah, true. But when I saw Alucard in this, I'm like, okay, just to summarize Alucard, he's like, yep, I'm here. I'm the heartthrob that everybody loves. I'm gonna display my big dick energy. I'm here to save you all, even though I'm probably as equally as powerful as all of you.
And that's another thing. That's another thing that bothers me when it comes to this series so far. Richter and Maria are amongst throughout the entire franchise, they are amongst the strongest people. And yet, they seem so much weaker than they are supposed to be.
Maybe they get stronger for season 2.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, that's the only course that they could do with the characters, considering how fucking OP Ezerbet is.
Yeah. Chances are we might see Dracula step in.
OP vampire versus OV vampire. Let's see what happens. Hopefully,
But chances are high that sometime during Nocturne, we're going to see Richter's fall from grace.
Okay.
Because at one point he does. At least in the video games, he falls from grace, causing the Belmont line to eventually for many generations not be able to use the vampire killer, not even touch it.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see if they will be showing anything like that in this series. How it'll go down. How, like, there's so many things up in the air.
If I would have to guess, or at least my prediction for season 2, something part of me wants to think that they might just do the same thing that they did with the first series, where for the first couple, or for the second season, they take out the big bad, and then seasons 3, like, let's say if they do like 2 more seasons after that, it's like kind of side stuff that kind of connects to the final act
from Symphony of the Night. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know if they'd be able to do a Symphony of the Night kind of thing unless something happens to Lisa again.
Yeah. But I was gonna...
Dracula's a good guy now.
Huh?
You know?
Yeah, because Dracula, I mean, at this point, unless something happened to his wife again, I wouldn't see how, like, they would set it up where Dracula is now evil again.
Yeah.
Because they really set it up, like, especially towards, like, the last scene of the last series, where Dracula is, you know, given a second chance in life. And even more... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry. I was going to mention something involving the eclipse.
Okay.
I'm really hoping this isn't the case. But the eclipse could also be them setting things up for the eventual Aria of Sorrow stories.
Maybe.
The stories involving Soma Cruz.
Maybe. We'll see. So, I guess final stuff. Favorite moments of the series?
Aside
I
from the occasional, like, whips here and there, even though it did feel like a little forced, in my opinion, the moment when Richter gets his magic back.
Really? I didn't feel like it was forced. I felt like it was kind of... I mean, it was kind of set up, especially with... it was kind of building up to that point where... especially, I would say, like, towards, like, episode 2, where they were like, hey, couldn't you do magic? And he's like, no, I haven't done magic since I was a kid. Really kind of setting up, like, why can you not use magic? And then him finally getting his magic back, it was like, okay, we get the payoff for that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what I mean by feeling forced is the method that was used.
So here's my question then. Would you think, like, here's another...
Don't get me wrong, I love that scene.
Oh,
I just felt they could have done something a little bit better.
Like, maybe waited on it a little bit. Here's a scenario. Do you think it would have been better if, like, through this, like, for this season, he didn't get his magic back, and maybe towards season 2 he did.
That probably would have been better.
Because to an extent that would explain more of like the power struggle between them and Ezerbet, and with him gaining his magic, that kind of gave him the more of an edge.
Yeah, I would honestly, I would have been more okay with that. You know.
Okay.
But it's still my favorite scene. Because it was just a moment of badassery.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with that. Like, that's probably, like, one of the best moments of the series. I would say, like, any of the combat scenes have been really great.
Yeah. Quite honestly, it's real quick. It's honestly a toss up between that and Annette finally getting her revenge.
Oh yeah. I would say like a toss up for me, because you have like the Richter fight with his powers, and then you have the final cathedral fight, and the fight in the basement of the Abbey between Annette and Doltra. Which I thought was kind of cool and very creative, between like their own abilities.
It was very much so.
If I could be honest, I don't know how I feel about Ezerbet being the villain.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, I kind of feel like she's kind of bland.
You want to know another problem I have with her being the antagonist?
Yeah. Is it lore?
The game she's from takes place during World War One.
Okay, I see why you would be pissed. But yeah, I don't like her as a villain.
Camilla and her sisters were better villains.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the way Camilla postured herself, and then
like
between and then on top of that, between her sisters, who each had their own strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every one of them were good in their own way.
Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth, she's basically like your Saturday morning cartoon villain, in a way. She's like, I have all this unlimited power. I don't need a reason to be bad. I just am.
I don't want to use it. I was gonna say it's almost like Kefla, but Kefla had an enjoyment with that. Kefla was fun, and I'm talking about like.
I like Kefla.
No, well, I'm saying Kefla was fun.
Oh, you're talking Kefka.
Kefka, yeah. From Final Fantasy 6, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kefka enjoyed
or if you're playing
chaos.
the Super Nintendo, the American Super Nintendo version of Final Fantasy 3.
Ezerbet is just, hey, I got power, I'm posturing myself, you guys are below me, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically flipping everybody the bird, like, what you gonna do? You guys got nothing.
I take it Elizabeth's your least favorite character then?
Yes.
Same.
I would say, like, as a villain, like, it would have made more sense for me if Drolta was the villain, because she has personality, like, more of a personality than Ezerbet. Whereas Ezerbet is like, hey, I got power, I'm not gonna, deal with you fucks, I'm just gonna do what I want.
I'm not gonna lie. Part of me wonders if it would have been better to save Elizabeth showing up until season 2.
You know, now that you say that, maybe, but I think it ultimately giving her more of a personality.
For sure.
Instead of like, oh, I'm a god. Like I'm gonna talk down to you because I'm a god.
Yeah. Part of me is curious if they will introduce the fourth or third, yeah, technically fourth maiden in Rondo of Blood. To my knowledge, hasn't made an appearance. Probably was, if she has, she was probably one of those 3 girls that Richter got the headband from.
Okay.
Iris.
Okay.
I wonder if she'll make an appearance if she hasn't already.
We'll see.
Who knows? Maybe Iris was Terra's sister.
Oh.
Who freaking knows? Memory serves, in Rondo of Blood, Iris was the daughter of a doctor.
Huh. Okay.
Favorite character?
Ooh. You know what?
I
Favorite
honestly don't have one offhand.
favorite villain, honestly, with her
Drolta.
design and like just as a, like with her ability. And by the way, when I mentioned
Those
personality,
boots, though, what the fuck?
huh?
The fashion of that time, it's like those boots. I'm just like, what the fuck?
For Drolta.
Or those heels, yeah.
Yeah. Again,
Oh my
I
goodness.
would say villains, probably Drolta. Favorite hero? It's a toss-up between I want to say it's a toss-up between Annette and Richter.
Mm.
Mostly because I mean, with their the way their story's set up, and hey, I always think that Phayn builds a better character, and sure enough,
Yeah.
I mean, with what those characters go through, that yeah,
I mean, there's
it,
a damn good reason why it's a trope.
yeah. I always hate it when like you have people saying, "Oh, you can't have a character go through pain." Like, why not? They can't. I mean, they can't build from what experiences they have. They can't get stronger for what they overcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's what pain does. That's what trauma does.
It gives you the potential to grow.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it good, per se, but when it comes to storytelling, it can make for a damn good
Character builder.
if done properly.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to add?
I can't think of anything.
All right. Then, I will say I'm looking forward to doing another one of these because there was an announcement for Netflix Castlevania Nocturne Season 2.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that trailer didn't tell us anything.
I mean, regardless of that, we know that there's something
nothing.
coming up.
Yeah, just that Season 2 is being made. That's
Hey,
all.
I'm just happy that because of how like the I guess a lot of people enjoyed it because they decided, hey, let's just give a quick like, hey, we're gonna do Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me kind of wonder when we're gonna get freaking Arcane Season 2.
Good question.
A little bit
Good
pissed that we
question.
waited so long for it. When they leave us with freaking Jinx, blowing up the freaking council building.
Yeah.
Freaking dicks. Give us the second season already. But anyway,
It's been going a while.
yeah. I think it is that time. We've talked about this.
While he
this...
does the outro, I will be back.
Wait, what?
While you do the outro, I'll be back.
Alright. Well, everybody, we are going to end this stream. To everybody who is watching, thank you guys so much. And for everybody who's probably going to watch this after it was live, again, thank you so much. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you guys want to follow us on our social media stuff, as well as check out MJ and Aden streaming stuff, it's all in the description. As well as our socials. Also, please check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob and Aden signing off. Have a good one. Take care. And we'll see you guys next video.